I make a comment?
Go on, Sheppy.
Going back to that diagram that you showed us at the beginning, Liz, I thought it was a very misleading diagram, because I've always understood that gravity plays quite a big part in the oceanic crust. And if you think about the Pacific, you've got the mid-ocean ridge coming up, the East Pacific Rise. And where the heat is coming up at the ocean ridges, the ocean is shallow-ish, shall we say. I'm not sure how deep, say a couple of kilometers or whatever. As the slabs move away from the mid-ocean ridge, they cool, they get denser, and they start to sink. And they sink and eventually get, well, in the Pacific, they get to the trenches at the edge where the trenches are, what, 11 kilometers deep, something round about that. If you think about it, you've got the heat coming up at the ridge, and the slabs just slide away on the asthenosphere. Gravity just pulls them away. And by the time they get to the trenches, it's very cold and very dense, and it does sink, and the slab pull force is quite substantial compared to the others. I don't think there's much of a ridge push. I think that it's the heat coming up that does the ridge. But I think gravity plays quite a big part in it.
Can I just ask, what is the slab pull pulling? Because what you've described, it's pulling the oceanic lithosphere, which nobody is disputing.
Well, it's just
that is for sure. But what it's not pulling is the whole of Eurasia over the top of it.
I never thought of it as pulling Eurasia over the top of it.
But that is actually the theory.
I just think
making all of the continents.
The continents are pulling away from Africa. And I think Bob's theory is very good about moving that away from Africa, but I don't think you should just discount the slab pull force.
Slab pull force is clearly there. Nobody's arguing with it, but it's pulling the oceanic lithosphere down. It's not pushing. It cannot possibly push the continental plate over the top.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
something does.
What then is pushing the continental plate? Give me an answer to that. There's no ridge push. There's nothing pushing the continent, and yet the continents are moving. Yeah. I cannot get an answer to this. And I would love to be able to just put this to bed and say, well, you know, it was interesting to look at Bob's theory, but it's clearly wrong. And that's what I thought I was going to do after a month.
I'm not saying that Bob's theory is wrong.
There's no
when I was first introduced to Bob's theory, it was basically that the theories we already had were wrong. And I don't think that the way I was taught plate tectonics, I don't think that was wrong as such. It possibly wasn't all of the story. And I think Bob's theory is part of the story.
Well,
am I making sense?
Anybody else have anything to add? No? Right. Liz, do you want to sort of wind up at all?
Well, I'm very happy to have been able to hold this. Sad that Bob himself isn't in the meeting, but he's not at a point where he is able to discuss because he can't quite hear and sometimes gets the wrong words. So he's going to be delighted to listen to what everybody else has had to say. I'm sorry there weren't more people accepting my invitation to come and oppose what Bob is saying. But this is what I've found is nobody's willing to agree or disagree with what he's saying. It seems to be just too radical for people to engage with. And yet, to me, as a non-geologist, it looks like very basic physics. It really doesn't, he's not, when I finally understood what he was saying, I thought, but that's not even complicated. So I'm sort of, I don't know where to go with it. I was hoping that people would accept my invitations today to come and discuss it. I do have one piece of good news, which is David Bridgeland, who we know from the Gravel Project, is the editor of various journals, including the PGA, the Proceedings of the Geologists Association. And he thinks that we should publish this in Geology Today, which is a journal that's a joint journal between the GA, the Geological Society of London, and Wiley. So that's good news. We have news today that we can maybe go ahead and put Bob's theory out there in another journal.
Thank you, Liz. I didn't know that. That's brilliant.
That's good news from today. So
Thank you. Yeah, that's really it will be tremendous if that happens. Yes. Right. Well, thank you, Liz, for organising this. As I said in my comment earlier, there's a lot more to it than I had originally thought. So I shall have to get my brain engaged a bit more. I think it's illuminating, though, that so many, there are about 33 participants here, and people clearly are interested in this and want to learn more. So I think we should take comfort in that. Just one last announcement. There's been a change to our programme of meetings, and the next meeting on the 11th of December, the talk will be given by Charles Underwood from Birkbeck, University of London, and he'll be talking about chalk seas. That closes the formal part of the meeting. You're very welcome to stay and chat if you wish to.